I watched my girlfriend pull away from me one quiet week at a time. Her smile changed first, then her distance, then her honesty. I thought the worst part was losing her, until I realized she'd tested my love and marked me wrong. Now all that's left is the silence she handed me, and the space I finally learned to claim. Before we begin, subscribe to the channel and tell me where you're watching from in the comments. My name is Zachary, and I'm 21 years old. The conversation that changed everything happened over cold takeout and a muted episode of some reality dating show playing on her laptop. We weren't watching it, not really. Just background noise while she scrolled, and I poked at the last of the noodles with a plastic fork. That's when she said it. "If you want to, I could bring another girl." The tone was casual, almost teasing. She didn't even look up from her phone. Just said it like a joke, the kind that floats between people when you're a year and a half into something that feels stable but not quite settled. I blinked. "Oh, really?" That's all I said. Just those two words. But her head lifted. The joke, it seemed, had never really been a joke. She stared at me for a second like she was trying to recalibrate. Like I'd just taken a detour on a map we'd drawn together. Then she asked me how I felt about it, and I told her, honestly, I'd be open if it was with another girl and only if you were okay with it. It's not like I want to sleep with someone else, it's just, if you ever wanted that experience, I wouldn't be against it. The air changed, not dramatically. No shouting, no plates thrown, just this slow, creeping chill that started in the silence and wrapped itself around her shoulders as she turned her face away from me. That chill didn't lift for weeks. She said I broke her heart. She told me later that night, sitting at the edge of my bed, that she couldn't imagine wanting to be with another man. That the idea physically repulsed her, not because she was insecure or repressed, but because she loved me too much. And to her, my willingness, even in theory, to share that intimacy with someone else meant I didn't love her the same way. Her voice didn't crack when she said it. That somehow made it worse. The worst part? I believed her. I believed that she meant every word. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake in the dark, listening to her breath shift between deep and shallow, wondering if she was sleeping or pretending like I was. Wondering how something so theoretical had shattered something so real. That was 2 months ago. We haven't broken up. We haven't talked about it again either, but something's been broken since. I see it in the way she hesitates before kissing me, like her lips are measuring how much of me is still hers. I hear it in the gaps between our texts, longer than they used to be, like she's pausing before deciding whether. I deserve a reply. Her name is Danny. She's 25. We met at a local coffee shop where I worked part-time while juggling community college classes. She was the kind of customer who smiled too wide for early mornings and tipped like she was trying to apologize for the world. We started talking over almond croissants and oat milk lattes. 1 month later, I quit my job to spend more time with her. She said she didn't ask for that, but she liked the gesture. I thought that meant we were serious. Now I'm not so sure. The first week after the conversation, she pulled back physically. It wasn't abrupt, just subtle withdrawals. Her hands slipping from mine during walks, the absence of leg touches under tables, her laugh sounding just a little farther away than before. Then it was the text habits. Good morning stopped coming first. She used to text home safe every night after work, even if she got in at 2 a.m. That stopped too. When I mentioned it, she said she didn't think I cared about that kind of thing anymore. We haven't said I love you in 17 days. I know because I count. I also know because I almost said it last Tuesday when she brought me soup after I came down with a fever. She left it on my porch and waited in the car. Texted me from across the street to come get it. I waved. She didn't wave back. I didn't eat the soup. I don't think she noticed. She hasn't used the word us in a sentence since. But the strangest part is, I still don't know what I did wrong. I told the truth. I didn't say I wanted someone else. I didn't say I needed more. I said I'd be open if she wanted it. That was supposed to mean I respected her choices. Instead, it made her feel like a placeholder, or worse, like a half measure. We never fought about sex. If anything, she always said we were lucky not to have bedroom drama. Now I look back and wonder if that was just another placeholder phrase. Sometimes I wonder if she asked the question on purpose, like she wanted to test the boundary, or maybe she wanted to hear me say, no, never, only you. And maybe that's what she deserved to hear. I keep going back to that moment, the exact moment she said it, trying to figure out what my face did. Did I smile? Did I flinch? Did I pause too long? Oh, really? I said. 2 words. That's what started this. The morning after Danny brought the soup and didn't wave, I stood at the sink holding the untouched container in both hands. The condensation had fogged up the inside of the plastic lid, forming little drops that rolled down like sweat. I hadn't even opened it. It felt wrong, like a thank you I hadn't earned. Like maybe if I opened it, it would mean I was okay with how we were now. I threw it away. No one talks about how quiet love gets when it starts dying. I don't mean in the dramatic sense, the yelling and storming out kind of dying. I mean the sort of erosion that happens one comment at a time, one look too long, one silence too wide. The way you start writing texts and deleting them before sending. The way you stop touching their back in the middle of the night, even when you turn over and brush past it. It was a Wednesday when I asked if she wanted to talk about it. We were in the car, parked outside her building, and the air was that stale winter heat from the vents that never really gets warm. She was scrolling something, probably Instagram. I didn't say her name, I just said, "Do you want to talk about that night?" She didn't even look up. No, that was it. She didn't say not now, didn't say maybe later. Just no, like it was a complete answer. We sat there for another minute before she opened the door and stepped out. "I've got back-to-backs until 6, she said, like we were coworkers scheduling a meeting, not people who used to share toothbrushes on overnight trips. I watched her walk into the building without looking back. The passenger door stayed open until I leaned over and closed it myself. That night, I did something I hadn't done in months. I went through our photos. There's one from the fair in September. She's got cotton candy on her nose, and I'm pointing at her like it's the funniest thing in the world. I remember thinking at the time that I was going to marry her. Now, I can't even get her to say my name with warmth. I tried writing her a letter, I didn't send it. Just sat there in Notes app, a 900-word mess of self-blame and half apologies and rhetorical questions. I kept typing, I never meant, but the sentence never landed. Never meant what? Never meant to answer honestly? Never meant to imagine she'd be hurt by something that didn't even involve someone real? That weekend, I did something worse. I started researching what it meant. Threesomes, open relationships, emotional monogamy, forums, podcasts, Reddit threads. All these strangers dissecting their private lives in hopes of understanding each other, or themselves. I read a post where someone said, if they can picture sex with anyone else, they're already halfway gone. I closed the tab, but I couldn't stop wondering, was I? Was I already halfway gone, or was she? By week 4, her routines changed. She used to stop by on Thursdays after her shift at the clinic, always around 7:30, always with something small, mints, leftover fries, a sticky note with a quote. Now she texted, busy week, and nothing more. I started watching the dating show we left pause that night. Not because I cared who got eliminated, but because I wanted to go back to that exact moment and choose a different answer. What if I just said, no, that's not for me, I only want you? Even if I didn't know if it was fully true, what if I had just said it? Would she have stayed? Or worse, would she have known I was lying? There was a receipt on her dashboard one morning when I climbed into her car, a smoothie place I didn't recognize. Time-stamped 11:43 p.m. I asked her casually, was this from last night? She blinked. Oh, yeah, I stopped by after I dropped off the soup. That was 5 days ago. That night she said she had to get up early, so she left before midnight. I didn't push. But I started wondering who was with her. The next time she stayed over, she showered at my place. I watched her unzip her overnight bag, pull out a toothbrush still in its packaging. A new one. Not the old pink one she kept in my cabinet. I noticed, because it meant she hadn't planned on staying. And that meant she hadn't packed that morning thinking of me. People say trust breaks loud, like a window. But I think sometimes it breaks like cartilage, soft, slow, and quietly permanent. I found myself Googling her name late one night, not for anything specific, just to see if something would come up. A tag, a comment, a review, some new sliver of her life I wasn't part of. That's when I found him. A name on a tagged photo. A guy she used to work with at the same clinic. I remembered him from a story she told once about how he flirted with every new hire until HR talked to him. I scrolled down. 3 likes from her on his recent post, a comment on one. Still love this playlist. The timestamp? 2 weeks after the soup. I clicked the post. It was a screenshot of a Spotify queue. Random tracks. But one caught my eye, a song we'd danced to in her kitchen once. No one else would have known that. No one but her. I didn't say anything. What would I say? So I just stared at that post for a while, and then I closed the app and sat in the dark and let the questions crawl over me like fog. What had I done? Was honesty a trap? Was love supposed to mean total closure? A door that never even glances at other hallways? I used to think being open with someone meant freedom. Now it just felt like exposure. Raw, unsafe. And I wasn't sure how much longer I could keep standing there, waiting for her to come back into the room we used to share. The last time Danny spent the night, I stayed awake after she fell asleep. Not because I was suspicious, not even because I was hurting. I just needed to remember how it used to feel, to be close to her without questions crowding the space between us. She curled up tight, as always, facing the wall. I used to think that meant she trusted me, that she didn't need to keep eyes on me. Now it just looked like a fortress of her own skin. The next morning, while she was still asleep, I checked her phone. I'd never done it before, not once. I'd always been proud of that. It wasn't even locked. She trusted me that much. Or maybe she forgot. Her notifications were muted. I opened messages, scrolled carefully. A few names I didn't recognize, then I saw it. Caleb R. No heart emoji, no nicknames, just a clean, sterile first and last. I tapped. No explicit photos, no late-night sexts. Just warmth. Warmth that hadn't visited me in weeks. He'd sent her a meme about houseplants. She replied with 3 laughing emojis and, "You're the worst, LOL." Another message a few days later. "Let me know if you still want to do the walk this week. Any day but Thursday works." No timestamps that screamed betrayal. But that's the thing. You don't need a timestamp to know when you've been replaced. You just know. I locked her phone and placed it exactly where it was. Her screen faced down. She woke up an hour later, stretched, kissed me on the shoulder, said, "Thanks for letting me crash. Not thanks for having me, not I missed you. Just crash. Like I was a pit stop." She left by noon. I sat at my desk and stared at my laptop without opening it for 2 hours. My inbox buzzed. Assignments piled up. A missed Zoom meeting passed with 0 guilt. All I could think about was whether I had done this. Was I the one who gave her permission to drift? Because I said I'd be open? Because I didn't say never? That night, I opened a blank document and started writing again. Not a letter this time, just a timeline. Facts, trying to map the shift. Somewhere in all that soft unraveling, I needed a single pin to hang it on. Week 1. Oh, really? Week 2, first sleepover skipped. No home safe. Week 3, soup on the porch, no wave. Week 4, Caleb appears. Week 5, she starts showering here again, but no toothbrush left behind. Week 6, I start checking her phone. Week 7, we stop talking about anything real. Week 8, she says, "I might need space soon." That line came after we'd sat on the couch in silence for an hour. I asked if she wanted to watch something. She said she wasn't in the mood for screens. Just that, not in the mood for screens. Then she looked at me for a long time and dropped that line like a pin on the map. "I might need space soon." I didn't ask why, I just nodded. And that might have been the biggest mistake of all. The next week, she came over late, unannounced. Her eyes looked tired, not puffy or sad, just tired. I made tea and we sat in the kitchen without words until she reached across the table and touched my hand. Do you still want to be with me? She asked. I swallowed hard. I knew if I said yes, she'd hear conditions in it. That yes would come with attachments, questions, regret. If I said no, she'd walk out that door. I said, I don't know what you want me to say. She stared at her mug. You answered your own question, she said. Then she got up and left. No door slam, no hug goodbye. Just the soft shuffle of shoes on linoleum and the click of the lock behind her. 3 days later, I saw a photo of her and Caleb on her story. Nothing romantic, just a park bench and their shoes, side by side. A caption, needed this. I didn't reply. I didn't like it, but I stared at it longer than I should have. That night, I deleted every photo we had together from my phone. Then I re-downloaded them from the cloud backup 5 minutes later. It's like that, when you're stuck between being right and being in love. You don't want the memories, but you're terrified of forgetting. The next time I saw her was a week after that. She showed up at my place holding her pink toothbrush in a Ziploc bag, the same one she used to keep in my bathroom. She placed it on the kitchen counter. I'm not staying, she said, but I figured you should have this. I stared at it. I didn't ask why. She continued, I realized I needed to figure out what kind of relationship I'm capable of having. Not just with you. With anyone. And Caleb? I asked. My voice surprised me. It was calm, not bitter. She shook her head. He's a friend, that's all. I wanted to believe her. Maybe I even did. But I also knew she hadn't brought the toothbrush back to clear the air. She brought it because she didn't want the responsibility of holding it anymore. She wanted to hand back the weight. That night, I held the toothbrush in my hand for a long time. It was soft pink, a little faded, the bristles curled at the edges. I could still see her toothpaste residue at the base. A small, quiet artifact of something that used to be shared. I placed it back in my drawer. Not because I thought she'd come back, but because I needed to remember that at some point, she wanted to. The toothbrush stayed in the drawer for a week. Every morning, I'd open it to grab mine, and there it would be, pink, bent, unapologetic. A kind of ghost that didn't float or whisper, just sat there. I didn't move it. I didn't touch it. I didn't throw it away. It became part of the ritual, open drawer, see her, brush teeth, close drawer. I stopped reaching out to her. That wasn't a decision. It just happened. Like my fingers forgot how to type her name, or maybe my phone got tired of holding the tension between us. Days passed, then a week, then 2. I started walking again, around my block, no destination, just movement. One night I passed Maplewood Avenue where we used to get those terrible hot chocolates from the late-night cafe. I paused outside for a second, thought about going in, but I didn't. I didn't want memories steeped in powdered sugar and unsaid things. That week, my friend Marcus invited me to his sister's art show. I almost said no. He insisted. So I went. It was held in a converted storage unit turned gallery space. Too many people in coats, holding plastic cups of cheap wine, pretending to understand brushstrokes. I was mostly trying not to overheat. But at some point, I wandered toward this one piece that looked like 2 silhouettes fading into each other. I stared at it for a long time, not because I understood it, but because I didn't. And that felt familiar. Marcus's sister Rena came over and said, "That one's called Shared Exit. I painted it after my divorce." I nodded, then said without thinking, "I just had a toothbrush returned to me." She laughed softly, but she didn't mock it. She just said, "Then you know." That was the first time I told someone, really told someone. I didn't give them the safe version either. I told her about the joke, the reaction, the soup, the shoes in the story, the name on the phone. I didn't cry, I didn't rant. I just laid it out like folded laundry. Wrinkled, real, sighed. When I was done, she looked at me for a long time and said, "She probably asked that question hoping you'd fail it. Not because she wanted a threesome, but because she wanted to see how far you'd go to prove you wouldn't." I thought about that for days. It made me angry, then sad, then something softer. Because if that was true, then maybe we were both just kids fumbling toward the idea of something neither of us were ready for. Danny texted me that Friday. Just 3 words. "Still thinking sometimes." No question mark, no context. I waited a full hour before replying. Me too. She didn't respond after that. Not for 3 more days. When she did, it was longer. She wrote, "It wasn't about the threesome. I know you didn't want it, but something about your openness made me feel replaceable. Like I wasn't enough. I know that's my stuff, not yours. But it felt real at the time. Still does sometimes." I sat with that for a long time. Then I wrote, "You weren't replaceable. I thought I was trying to show you I trusted you to explore. I didn't know it would sound like I was giving you permission to leave." This time she responded quickly. "I think we were talking in different languages." I didn't reply, not because I was upset, but because she was right. And sometimes when you finally speak the same language, it's already too late for translation to matter. Another week passed. I boxed up some of her things she had left in the apartment. An old scarf, a half-used bottle of conditioner, a copy of Little Fires Everywhere with a receipt tucked inside as a bookmark. I didn't throw anything away, just stored them. That's when I noticed the receipt. It was from Grayson's Books on Pinecrest Avenue, a small, quiet place we'd gone to once near the lake. The date on it was from 2 days before she brought back the toothbrush. I flipped it over. On the back was a scribbled note in her handwriting. "Don't forget, soft isn't weak. It's just not loud." I didn't know if it was meant for her, or for me, or for both. But I kept it, pinned it to the fridge with the magnet from our road trip last summer. The next time Danny texted, it was about her car. "Hey, random question. Do you still have the jumper cables I lent you?" It was the first logistical message we'd exchanged. In almost a month. I told her yes. She said she'd swing by sometime to pick them up. When she did, it was early evening. Cold air, jacket zipped up to her chin. She didn't come inside. We stood outside my building like two neighbors who used to be friends. She took the cables, said, "Thanks." I said, "You doing okay?" She nodded. "Yeah, still figuring stuff out." I nodded too. "Same." She started to walk away, then turned. "By the way," she said, "you were the first person I ever asked that question." I didn't say anything. I just let the silence sit between us. It wasn't awkward. It was respectful, like a folded flag between old soldiers. She didn't say goodbye. She just walked. And this time, I didn't expect her to turn back. It's been 3 months since the last time we spoke in person. Not a dramatic fight. No slammed doors. Just that cold evening handoff. Jumper cables in hand, her eyes searching mine for something neither of us could name anymore. The toothbrush is still in the drawer. I haven't touched it. I don't think I ever will. Some things just stay. I started journaling, something I hadn't done since high school. Not deep stuff, not Dear Diary moments, just fragments, phrases, things I needed to empty from my brain before they curdled into shame or longing. Lines like, "She smiled when she handed me the charger, but it didn't reach her eyes." How do you unask a question that you only asked to hear the wrong answer? When someone hands you their pain, are you supposed to hold it or fix it? Some days I wrote nothing. Other days I wrote until my hand ached. That helped more than I expected. One day, I opened notes on my phone and scrolled down past grocery lists and class reminders until I found that unsent letter, the one I wrote after the soup night. I reread it, all 900 cringeworthy words. Then I deleted it. Not because I didn't mean it, but because I no longer needed her to understand me through an apology. That was never the problem. The problem was we weren't seeing the same version of each other anymore. She saw someone careless or uncertain or open to too much. I saw someone so sure of her love that it scared me. And when the test came, wrapped in a joke, masked as a hypothetical, I gave her honesty when she needed reassurance. I gave her logic when she was asking for proof of heart. She wasn't wrong for needing that, and I wasn't wrong for answering truthfully. We just weren't speaking the same language anymore. That's a hard thing to accept, especially when no one's technically done anything wrong. There's no villain, just friction. Just two people drifting sideways from a question and neither of them really wanted the answer to. I ran into her last week, at a bookstore of all places. Grayson's Books, the one from the receipt she left behind. She was in the fiction aisle, wearing a long gray coat and, earbuds dangling from her collar. She saw me before I saw her, Monet. Not wide, not forced, just hot-timed. I smiled back. Neither of us moved. She held up a book. Conversations with Friends. Have you read this? She asked. I shook my head. She said, it's about two people who hurt each other by trying to be too honest. I raised an eyebrow. Sounds familiar. We both laughed. Then silence again. A comfortable one this time. I'm moving, she said. Upstate. Got a fellowship for that community health project I told you about? That's great, I said. And I meant it. You'll like it, she added. Snowy, quiet, clean air. I nodded. You'll do good things there. She held the book to her chest like it mattered. Then, I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. You didn't owe me that, I said. I know, but I wanted to. We didn't hug. We didn't ask to keep in touch, just a pause. Then she looked at the book, turned it over in her hands, and said, Take care of yourself, Zach. I replied, You too, Danny. And that was it. She walked to the register. I left the store. No echoes, no second glances. Just closure. The quiet kind. The next morning, I cleaned the drawer, not because I was erasing her, but because I was ready to reclaim the space. I put the toothbrush in a small zip bag and placed it in the box with the scarf and the conditioner and the book. Then I labeled the box Past Things, sealed it, and slid it under the bed. I think it'll stay there. Sometimes when people ask me if I've ever been in love, I think about that box, about a girl who asked a question she didn't really want answered, about a boy who didn't know silence was the better truth. And I think, yeah, I have. And I learned that love isn't about never making someone feel replaceable. It's about what you do when you realize they do. It's about whether you show up afterward. And how you leave if you have to. With grace. With quiet. With a soft goodbye in the fiction aisle of a bookstore on Maplewood. And a toothbrush in a drawer right where it used to live. If this story moved you, subscribe for more real-life confessions and emotional journeys like this one.